First of all, I wanted to start this conversation with the most basic question. What actually is AI search and why is everyone talking about it? So on the left-hand side, you can see a very classic Google search. Someone types in Italian restaurant, they get back a list of links. Now you may also see a few ads, maybe a map, etc. But the user has to do the work of clicking through, comparing, deciding on options. On the right-hand side, something is fundamentally different. Someone is asking ChatGPT, I'm organizing a birthday dinner. Can you suggest good Italian restaurants near London, Soho? It's a very contextual, very specific question. And instead of links, they get an answer with specific restaurants, a map rated by vibe and food quality, probably also taking into the context of what the user likes. The AI has done the research, has made the shortlist, and then it presented a recommendation for the user. And that shift from returning links to returning answers is the entire reason we're here today. Because in the old world, we all competed for clicks. We want us to rank high enough for someone to choose our link over the nine others on the page. And in the new world, we're all competing to be visible in the answer and to be recommended by AI. And before we get into the how, I wanted us to take a moment on the scale of what's happening. So this is Similarweb data on AI platform growth across web and app in the US over the past year-on-year growth. And the numbers are pretty hard to ignore. As you can see, web visits to AI platforms has grown 80%, more than 82% year on year, from 4.6 billion to 8.3 billion. And app downloads has grown over 320%, from 634 million to 2.7 billion. So people are not just visiting AI platforms, they're also downloading the app, they're using it day to day, it's on their phone, and it's become part of their daily routine. And we wanted to know what people are actually doing on these AI platforms, and therefore Similarweb has recently done a study on this. And our data shows that users are now more keen to go to AI to do their early research when they are purchasing something. So what this means is in the past, you go to Google, you like search for keywords, you look at different results to compare and make the decision on shortlisting brands. Whereas now AI does the job for you. You go to AI, ask a question, and you kind of like learn what options are out there. AI presents you with recommendation, and the brands that come up from AI is then become shortlisted by the user, and they go back to the search engine and actually complete the transactional task. So that means the brands that come up from AI during this early process actually heavily impacts the purchase journey after. So I wanted to go into a bit more details into how AI actually makes that recommendation. And what might shock you is that actually by the time user sees an AI answer, your brand has already been evaluated by AI. And we can call that the perception layer. Because AI is not just retrieving information. It's almost acting as like a researcher on behalf of the user to gather, to filter and surface the most credible information they can find online. So let's look at this process, which we called as the retrieval-augmented generation process. So what it does is first it understands, interprets the user's intent and learn what the user is actually asking about. And it's going beyond just keyword matching. It's understanding the real intent of the user. And then it does two things. One, either it recalls and draws on its own training data, everything that has learned previously, or it goes out into the web and find the most relevant information online from trusted data sources. And then what happens is the synthesis stage, which is the most important stage, where the model doesn't just combine information, it actually weighs and determines what is being shown in the answer. And after that, it presents the recommendation to the user. And therefore, there is a perception layer in there during the process where AI determines whether the brand is worth showing based on the data sources it's from. So credibility now is a new ranking signal because AI is determining what is being shown. And so the next question is what actually influences that decision. So a lot of people are focusing on its own content, the content that they do themselves, blog posts that they put out, their website, etc., which is still a key role in building up that credibility for your brand. But AI also goes out to search for other types of content to validate that brand perception. Like we see career fan outs from AI specifying for elements of trust, looking for reviews, accreditation online, looking for directories, places like Reddit and Quora forums, etc., where your brand has to be present in order to build trust because AI perceives that as real people, real conversations happening online, and it uses that information in synthesizing the right answer for the user. So I wanted to go back into more of like how AI presents an answer and take it from here. So on the left-hand side, you can see all the brands that are mentioned in the answer, like Decathlon, Under Armour, etc. And on the right-hand side, you can see the citation sources, which is basically where this information is being based on. So AI is making a judgment call about which brands are being deserved to be in that answer, and is building that based on the online resources that they find. And when they recommend Under Armour, is actually not just taking information from Under Armour itself, it's actually referring to Reddit conversations in this case. And so therefore we can see that third-party content, community content, real people talking about their experiences is actually really important for AI to take into consideration on whether to surface your brand at all. Next slide, please. And apart from that, we also have a bit of information data that we've like looked at in Similarweb, and it's Similarweb's own data, so I can speak to this. So what you're looking at here is top cited domains in finance conversations on ChatGPT in February 2026. These are the sources that AI is actually pulling from when someone's asking a finance question. So you can see 8 out of top 10 most cited sources are all third-party domains. It's a variety of publishers, UGC, social media, review platforms, etc. Meaning that when someone's asking a question like, what is the best saving account in the UK? It's actually not just referring to the banks, to the financial institution. It's also taking a lot into account, like what's actually being discussed online, for example, on Reddit. So another example that I have, next slide please, is on travel conversations. So when someone is asking a travel question, it's very often drawing its content from like TripAdvisor, Wikipedia, Reddit, etc., in order to answer the question that the user is asking. Like obviously we can see a few like of the brand-owned websites as well, like Booking, Skyscanner, and Expedia. But you can see that the review sites and forums and knowledge base is actually owning a lot more as a citation influence. So this gives you a very concrete idea in like different industries how this type of like third-party content is actually really important for brands to consider and to build their presence in AI.